Shit.
Hot fucking start. We're nailing it.
Yeah. All right. Hello, people of YouTube land, and those that are part of the Crunch Crew Gaming Community Discord. Those that are following Ted and I on Twitch, and those that are listening to this on Spotify or whatever audio format that we decide to put this on. I am Traductus.
And I'm Ted.
And this is the Cringe Crew Gaming Movie Review Podcast, where we take a director's filmography, we go from each film, and then Ted bitches and complains about the director being a creep and a racist.
Real.
Despite the fact that he's the one that had the idea for this format.
Yeah, and I just keep picking shitty directors. It's the worst!
And we are doing Tarantino, which we've made a drinking game out of so far. Every time you see Samuel Jackson, every time you see a trunk shot, every time you see a scene of feet, and every time you hear a racial slur.
We died 7 times. It's been 6 movies, and we're 7 times we died.
And right now we're doing Kill Bill Volume 2, so...
It doesn't get better here. Doesn't get better. I mean, the game
the racial slur department gets a little bit better. We're down to 2.
Yeah, but all of the gratuitous feet makes up for the lack of N-words. I'm telling you, dude. I could have faced a bottle and it wouldn't have been enough. It's crazy.
Yeah, true. Right. So I'm going down through background, and Ted's going to do plot, and then we're gonna go through likes, dislikes, and rankings. So Kill Bill Volume 2, released in 2004, April 8th, 2004, at the Cinema Dome, and April 16th for the rest of the United States. That is 6 months after Volume 1. And if you haven't watched the Volume 1 episode, you probably should, since these basically should have been like one fucking movie, but
it's also very hard to separate the content of this movie and talk about it isolated, because the preamble to this film is Volume 1. So recommend watching the first one. Right.
And this had a budget of $30 million and a box office return of $152.2 million. We have, of course, Uma Thurman as the bride, and she's actually named, finally, as Beatrix Kiddo.
The worst fucking payoff of all goddamn time.
David Carradine as Bill, and he's shown in this. Michael Madsen as Bud, who actually has more than one line in this now. We also have Daryl Hannah as Elle Driver. We have Gordon Liu, who was Johnny Moe in Volume 1. He is the martial arts master Pai Mei in this movie. And we also have Michael Parks, who was... the fuck was he in Volume 1? He was Texas Ranger Earl McGraw. In this movie, he is retired pimp and one of Bill's father figures, Esteban Viejo. So, hold on. I don't want to see... I kind of hope that technically would have been brownface, because I'm trying to look and see if this guy is actually Hispanic. But I have a feeling that Quentin Tarantino threw in brownface in this.
Par for the course. Remember that drinking game we were talking about?
Yeah.
Fucker.
That being said, we also have Bo Svensson as Reverend Harmony, Jeannie Epper as Mrs. Harmony, not to be confused with the pornographic actress Jeannie Pepper. I just figured I'd throw in that joke, because really isn't much in here. Chris Nelson is Tommy Plimpton, Beatrice's fiance that gets killed in the shootout in the church. God damn it, my fucking my monitor's fucking up, so I'm trying to read and it's like cutting in and out. Sid Haig as Jay, an employee at the strip club where Bud works, and obviously we have appearances at the end of Lucy Liu, Vivica A. Fox, Julie Dreyfus, Sonny Chiba, because for whatever reason, the credits at the end have to credit everyone that was in Volume 1, but isn't really in Volume 2, but whatever. As I said, within Volume 1, God, this is...
You can skip
I'm
the
basically
volume 1
retreading, as
you
in,
can
like...
skip it. We
we
already told people to watch the first episode. Fucking skip it.
Yeah, supposed to be 1 movie. Tarantino didn't want to cut shit, so that was 2.
Yeah.
And homage to, like, this one's more of a homage to spaghetti westerns as opposed to, like, samurai films, like in the last one. That being said, plot.
Well, so the plot of the first one was a gigantic amount of fucking background for a plot that hadn't been revealed, or not thoroughly revealed anyway. This is just following up on the intro, where she's killing the last 2 members of the assassin squad and then eventually Bill, or at least that is her goal.
Well, last 3.
This movie is the last 2 and then Bill, because if we're counting Bill for the assassin squad,
okay, I'm sorry.
Last 2 and then Bill.
I misinterpreted. Sorry about that.
Anyway, so that's just what this is the finale to the murdering down her hit list.
Right. So let's dislike. So where do we start with?
I think it's easier to start with dislikes only because I have a lot of complaints that flow from 1 to 2 before I isolate the stuff for 2, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a conceptual whole of both volumes, I hate how they decide who gets backstory that takes 2 hours and who doesn't. So, for example, what's her name? Is it Daryl Hannah's character?
L. Driver.
L. Driver. Yeah, it's a stupid name for what it's worth. But she's the only assassin that appears in both movies, other than the protagonist of the movie. Doesn't get a backstory. They give her like 2 sentences of anecdote, and that's her background. It's pretty underwhelming.
Basically, pick up on the fact that they both were in love with Bill, and she's pissed off at Beatrice because Bill chose her over,
right?
Her.
And the idea that, like, oh yeah, and I'm missing an eye because I trained with the guy that trained you, and he plucked my eye out, and then I killed him, and like that's her entire fucking background, right? Meanwhile, Bud gets an hour of fucking background in this goddamn movie. They fill him out to be a complete character where his fucking favorite food is a goddamn child, or everything but, right? And it's 1 sentence that reveals he's Bill's brother, and that's the payoff. You could have switched those around and it would have made a better contextual flow to the movie. The only reason they gave Bill that background is so that they had a setting so that they could film half this fucking movie in a trailer in a desert somewhere, right? Like, there are 4 equally important characters of this hit squad. 2 of them get murdered off without a fucking more than a sentence of backstory, and then 2 of them are like, what if we told your entire story for the entire fucking movie and then remembered there was a plot at the end? I think it's kind of goofy how they decide that, right?
Although I will say that Bud's case is definitely better than Oren's.
Sure, and I get it, but if your payoff to that purpose is the sentence, it's not, like, clearly it's not that important, right?
Right, and they show that he's, Bill's brother right off the bat. It's just they had a whole bunch of build up, and then, they fight.
And it would be something else if the end of the movie's fight scene with Bill was a payoff to the idea that, oh shit, I wasn't gonna kill you, but now you killed my brother, right? Like if there was purpose behind them being brothers, great. I get why he gets more backstory. But there wasn't even that. It just felt like an unnecessary detail to make sure they could write a story about Michael Madsen. Kind of shitty.
I'm biased to the character of Bud, so like I'm gonna like disagree, but I will say you made a good point.
But Bud's fine. I don't dislike Bud as a character. I don't think it was done poorly. Don't get me wrong, right? Like I think for as far as giving a character a backstory and choosing to do it, it's fine.
To be honest,
I think the decision making to decide that he gets it versus another character when theoretically both of them are culpable and going to be part of this assassin squad, like I think it's silly conceptually.
Oh yeah, I mean to be honest, like this both movies feel like it should have been like a mini series, you know?
Okay, so actually I want to sit on that, right? Because we talked during the last podcast that, like, okay, this could have been a prequel to make it one movie, right?
Right.
Now, having rewatched the second one again, I'm pissed off that there was, like, only two, right? Like, it sucks both directions. If you made it one movie, you wouldn't get as much background as you wanted. Making it two movies means we had the length to do half of the work that we wanted to do and still not give you a complete picture, right? Like, all right, so for the plot, right, the idea is that Bill and the assassin squad go to kill Beatrix because she abandoned a mission because she was pregnant with his child, decided to leave, and tried to go AWOL on the whole thing, made him think she was dead, right? Why does that take a fucking assassin squad? Secondly, why is the onus on any of these assassins who are doing the same job she was doing not 4 years before instead of just, let's go murder Bill? If she knew where the guy was that was going to lead her to Bill the whole fucking time, why doesn't she just fucking start with that? Right? Like, I feel like there are not plot holes necessarily, not things that you can't explain, but it's like, okay, if you're going to do it, why do it this way? Right? If murdering the entire assassin squad is important to her, make sure that it's personal with all of them and not just for the sake of making two movies and some fight scenes, right? If Bill is the only one that's important, let's narrate the story in terms of let's make Bill important, right? Like, the movie's called Kill Bill, and he's one of the characters we don't get a background on other than he told this assassin squad to do some shit. Like, like, isn't that stupid?
I mean,
but now that you say though that like there are like it should have been a mini series, I'm kind of with that. I'm like genuinely that's a really good idea because if you make this like 5 or 6 parts, right? One for each assassin, or you know, maybe add a part for Beatrix herself, maybe add one that is the backstory of you know, them mowing her down or whatever, right? To like make a full series out of this. That's not bad. Then you could cut down some of the fluff on some of the background characters. I mean, we talked about Lucy Liu in the last one. That's like, okay, like, yeah, good backstory, but this is taking so fucking long. Right? You could give the characters that didn't get their backstory a larger one, right? And you could make them like 5 1-hour pieces, and I think it would kind of be the perfect length for the story they were trying to tell. I'm kind of mad I didn't think about it, because I was just going to show up here and be pissed off that one movie would have sucked, 2 movies did suck. What the fuck, dude? But no, that's a good point. I feel belittled that I didn't come up with this myself. The other thing that I have to complain about is with it being 2 movies, you kind of hinted on this earlier, right? That like the first one was more an homage to like kung fu martial arts movies, right? And the second one was more an homage to spaghetti westerns. And I think it creates some stupid, inconsistent feelings throughout both movies. So I mentioned this as we were watching, right? The first movie, she takes down the entire Crazy 88s with one sword and she just murders a fucking warehouse full of people, right?
Right.
In this one, she tries to fight one person. He just hits her with a fucking shotgun blast and buries her alive, right? Like, Boy, why didn't the room full of people think of that? If you're going to
well,
give
the
her,
funny thing is that he's the only one that actually thinks of it. That's the funny thing.
if you're going to give a character some sort of superhuman nature in a movie, right? I'm not even complaining about the fact that it's a superhuman feat to take down the warehouse full of people, because it's a movie, right? I can suspend my disbelief because it's the heroism of the movie, right? Like, that's not even my complaint, right? But if you're making somebody who is that superhuman just like, yeah, an average bank robbery would have murdered her too, right? I don't. It just feels inconsistent. And I think it's very weird to have put these under the same title to have two such violently different experiences, I guess.
Understandable. And I understand why he did it, because, like, as I was saying, like, both samurai films and spaghetti westerns basically have the same plot. It's just one uses guns, the other uses a frickin' sword. But, like, more or less, they're all the same plots, hence why, Magnificent Seven exists, because, somebody watched Seven Samurai, was like, this would make a good western.
Right.
And then for some reason they cast Yul Brynner in the main role, and then they remade it, and they're just like, well, since Yul Brenner's dead, we're gonna recast him with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Which, both great actors. I'm not complaining about that,
As for this movie itself, right, to kind of break away from both movies, my major dislike is not Bud the character, but the way that they elect to tell Bud's story. I mentioned a little bit that I don't like the idea that, like, yeah, it's because he's his brother, right? Like, it's also partially like, why do we have to show him working security at a strip club? Why does he have to lie about his sword? Why does he just have to be some redneck in the middle of nowhere, right? Like, it's very... They give him details...
I can answer that.
I guess they just give him details that feel like they are different than when they gave Lucy Liu's character the background, right?
Right.
And... I don't know. It just feels like this is a movie about Bud when you know he's gonna die anyway. There was also a part of me, right, that, like, the first movie did a better job where, like, okay, so she goes to kill what's her face in the opening scene, right?
Vernita Green.
Yes, and
Vivica A. Fox.
As they're showing Vivica A. Fox's scene where she dies, right? They're also showing the wedding scene where it's, hey, here's the 4 people who killed her, and then they're zooming in on Vivica A. Fox to let you know that this is the character she's about to go after. And they just kind of ignored giving you that reminder for Bud. I started.
Well, I mean,
I started at some point second guessing, like, wait, is Bud one of the assassins, or is he just gonna tie us into somebody? Like, why is this dude important? Why are they giving me so much on a dude that I don't remember from the? And, like, obviously he is one of the assassins, right? But, like, there's a point in time with the method of storytelling that you kind of forget.
I get that.
It's not that I dislike the character. It's not that I think that it was poorly done. I don't like the method of storytelling for Bud in particular. It's bizarre, and it feels slightly off-putting and confusing for being a pretty straightforward topic.
I mean, here's the weird thing about Bud. I'll get into that when it goes to, like, likes about his character, but, like, they reveal so much about Bud, but at the same time, there's, like, a lot of stuff where they don't reveal a lot about Bud, and you have to, like, look at how, like, different things are shot or actually pay attention to dialogue and see how everything, you kind of have to piece together of, like, of exactly who Bud is and what his motives around everything are, which I think is interesting, but at the same time, like, it shouldn't have to have taken, like, 4 or 5 different viewings and watching and reading, like, 800 Reddit threads like acting like a conspiracy theorist to kind of get there, you know?
Yeah, I understand that, and like I said, I think it's just kind of weird that it felt so different. Like we've talked about it in previous directors series that like you can kind of pick up on the things that make a director feel like it feels like their movie. I know we harped on it a lot through Christopher Nolan. If not for the gratuitous shots of feet, this one didn't feel like a Tarantino in that way because of how different the storytelling was for Bud.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying is a good or bad thing. Like I'm indifferent to it, but it definitely felt out of place. The movie, the storytelling, the effects were definitely Tarantino. Like you never lose the idea that this is a Tarantino film.
Yeah,
right.
Especially with the gratuitous violence.
But like, because you're looking at those like the subtleties of it, which I don't know that subtlety is necessarily a way I would describe Tarantino at all, right? Like,
right. But in this case, there is like subtleties on certain things, but at the same time, like there's other stuff where it's not so subtle. When I get into my dislikes, we're gonna have a real fun comparison between Bud and Bill. I'm not saying Bill's a bad character, but like shall we say there's some issues I have with dialogue.
Yeah, fucking that was my last complaint. Bill can fucking yap, dude.
Yeah. You remember, like when they tell you about like film and stuff like that, they say, show don't tell. Yeah. Apparently Tarantino didn't get that fucking, memo while making the character of Bill.
The part that kills me, right? Like, Bill was able to yap from the beginning of this fucking movie. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's never lost on you that Bill says a whole lot of words to get absolutely fucking nowhere, right? The part that fucking kills me is when he hits Beatrix with the fucking truth serum and he's like, it takes 2 minutes to work, don't touch it. He talks his way through it, tells her that she can pull the thing out of her leg now, says another few lines, and then says, I say all that to ask a question. But, and then he goes off on this fucking diatribe about how he doesn't believe her, and that she'll never tell the truth, and that even if she does tell the truth, he's not gonna be... Shut the fuck up! You already shot her with the goddamn truth serum! Stop fucking yapping, bro!
And it's like, and then he starts making a metaphor about how she's Superman, and stuff, and it's like...
dude, and
God damn it, get to the fucking point. Get to the point.
And look, and if you're gonna pull some fucking weird obscure reference to solve your 2 minutes, right, while you're holding a gun at somebody, like, Superman's not your fucking MO, dude. I blame Tarantino for that one, but fuck, bro. Like, just the fact that it was Superman makes me extra mad on top of it. But yes, the ultimate point comes down to shut the fuck up.
It's like, you get a lot of like Bud's background just by showing and watching, and when they're actually like have a discussion about how Bud and Bill have like tension with each other, like there's very little dialogue with it. Like it's straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
You got the gist, but like between like Bill and Beatrice at the end, like, Jesus Christ. Like, that felt like that was half the movie.
Oh, God.
It wasn't, but it felt like it was.
My last complaint before I let you have the floor with dislikes. There's not foreshadowing in this movie. There is... We've explained to you the end with an otherwise unnecessary scene, and it happens right at the fucking beginning.
Oh my God, yeah. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, Tarantino, did this really... I mean, I know, not the Pai Mei thing. The Pai Mei thing was fine for, like, non-linear, but did you really have to make everything up until the point where she tracks Bill down as, like, a flashback? Just because you had some like weird fucking trailer thing that you wanted to throw at the beginning of it?
No, my major issue is that like one of the first scenes is, hey, he has this move. It kills people. That's why he's the best. You're gonna go train with him. In a movie called Kill Bill, where you know the plot line is to go and find Bill and kill him, they tell you how she's going to do it. It makes the ending of this movie so fucking worthless. You know it's gonna happen from minute number
bullshito tactic.
Oh god, dude, they tell you it's fucking coming. It's literally the first thing they show you. The only thing that I'm upset about the fact that they told you right from the beginning is that she doesn't do it then and there. No, bitch, she already taught me. And then the movie's over. Like, that would have been a better ending. Ah, fuck. It completely makes itself so fucking worthless. It's infuriating, really. It's not a hint. It's not foreshadowing. It's not telling you maybe. It's not giving you lore about Pai Mei. It's, this is how you're going to murder me at the end of the movie. He could have said it like that and been more subtle than it fucking was, dude. It's incredible. Yeah, all right. Have the floor. I'm done.
I will say that my main thing was like the Bill just not shutting the fuck up. That's the thing that I don't really care for. I also don't care for like the thing at the beginning that like this does not need to be a flashback to have that freaking trailer thing, but I guess you need a recap and it's better than, remaking the entire first film like some directors have done.
Or last time on Kill Bill Volume 1. Like, this is about the shittiest way you could have done it outside of that, yeah.
Yeah, but that I have complaints about. I also have some complaints about the fact that, again, it's the homages are a little bit ridiculous, especially the fact that you're going to literally use Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch for her to get out of the grave. Like, I mean, it's interesting that you actually show a way for her to get her out of the grave, but did it really have to be the 1-inch punch? Like, to me, there was already enough Bruce Lee stuff beforehand. Do you really have to add more Bruce Lee stuff in there? Like, to me, it's it's very meta for the sake of meta, you know?
And to that point, I think it makes it almost
corny.
Like, I was gonna say caricaturish, right? Like in the idea that like if you take it so directly and you don't use it to develop new ideas, you're kind of just making fun of it almost. And like I think at this point we know Tarantino well enough to know that wasn't his intention, but like it feels like a joke. Yeah, it's hard to take it seriously.
And it's even worse that the killing blow to Bill is a take on a notorious fake martial arts technique known as the dim mak, or death touch, which many charlatans such as fake ninja Ashita Kim, bullshit artist Frank Dukes, which Bloodsport's based off of, and also legit martial artists, but also bullshit artists at the time. Count Dante, who's had many people, such as the villain and the original Karate Kid, not like Johnny, but like his sensei of like Cobra Kai in the original 80s. That's based off of Count Dante. But like, what I'm saying is like, like stuff that's obviously bullshit and is considered to be as a joke, you have that actually be like the climax of the film, that she actually is able to do like this secret martial art that you just poke a little couple pressure points and then they take 5 steps and die. And for as hilarity of a joke that is, I was actually expecting like Bill to go like an extra step or 1 step less, like like they fucked up with the counting.
I'm just mad he was sitting. Genuinely, as he stood up, I was asking myself, knowing that he's about to die, right? Like, he takes 1 foot from his chair. I'm going to try and reenact it from my chair, but I'm not sure if my camera will pick it up, right? But he takes his right leg and he kind of like moves it and repositions it before he stands. And for the next 4 steps, I'm going, does that count as a step, or did he just move his foot? Like, does this strike count those kinds of things, or does it need to be standing upright steps?
Thank you.
I almost shouted when he takes his 5th actual step, right? Going, that was 6! They can't count! It was 6! They left it in! Like, I almost genuinely yelled during the movie, but it was worthless because it was already a fucking joke.
Being 4 steps and let him fall it over. That's the funny thing.
I would have been mad either way, right? Like, it whatever happened. I was going to be pissed off.
But it was 5. I counted. I didn't count the shifting.
Yeah, the shift, but he, like, very clearly picks up his leg and he moves it, and it's like, well, technically he didn't make forward progress, but it's a step. Like, I mean, I need an NFL rules committee on what a catch is to tell me how many steps this man took. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the point is to say in all of it that it's an absolute fucking joke, you know? And
like she might as well killed him with a no-touch knockout with chi.
It's just it kind of lends itself to making fun of what it's trying to pay homage to.
Right.
Even in the first one, where I think there were some things that were like over the top, it felt much like a kung fu movie in the idea that like it's some kind of human, you know, superhuman thing. Suspend your disbelief, like just kind of buy in that they're really good at martial arts, and then you're good to go, right? Like, this didn't even do that. This was over the top kind of stupidity.
Right. That's basically all I have for like my gripes. Because you basically said a lot of my gripes already.
Yeah, my bad. I tell you, I'm in a chaotic, angry mood, dude.
Oh, I do have another gripe. Yeah, way to make my favorite character and the most interesting character out of both movies into someone who's just casually fucking racist. Thank you, Tarantino, for like, you know, me just being excited to see Bud, and then remembering that he throws anti-Semitism and Japanophobia in there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tarantino.
Just can't leave the racism out. He's got to insult the race of people first. As for likes, then it's a pretty short list for me. Not to say that it was an unwatchably bad movie, but I think the things that I can give it positives for are shorter. I think that we mentioned the choreography in the last one. It was complex, it was difficult to pull off, it was very well orchestrated. This one is good for different reasons. I think the action that happens is much more realistic and it's faster paced. There's just less of it, so you have to like realistically dramatize what's there. And I think they did a very good job at keeping it in human check that allows you to buy into it.
Especially the fight
without it becoming unbelievable.
Yeah, especially the fight between Beatrice and Pai Mei, and also especially the fight between Beatrice and Elle.
Yeah, Beatrice and Elle is the point where it really pops out. In the idea that, like, the only thing about that scene that made me mad is they ignored the snake the whole time. Like, but otherwise,
until the very end, and then the snake it's just, oh yeah, by the way, the snake's there.
But it was very well done. Again, the action happened in short bursts, but everything that was there was like an action movie, but not in one of those, like, you hear the punching sounds and the bad guys on the floor. Like, everything was easy to buy into, but it was action filled. It was believable. It was, again, very strong work from the acting and for the action itself. Yeah,
and spoiler, I also like the fact that Elle's fate is very ambiguous. Yeah. Especially since at the end where they like have like the people's names with them crossed off, Daryl Hannah's has like a question mark, which, you know, made me think like, oh wow, so they were probably planning on volume 3, but there ain't gonna be no volume 3 because Tarantino's doing one movie and it's The Movie Critic.
No, how bad would that be though? Like, hey, go fight this blind enemy. Like, it would be a pretty shitty movie, in all honesty. Like, I'm glad they didn't they didn't follow up on that. I'm
Well,
perfectly
no.
okay with it.
What people were thinking that it was going to be was Vernita Green's daughter being trained by Elle to go after Beatrice in revenge for Beatrice killing her
Elle
mom.
still had to find her way out of the fucking shower. She wasn't training shit. Anyway, the other thing I want to give this movie positive for is the camera work. I found myself a lot of times thinking that the camera angles in still shots were very intentionally positioned in a way that
cinematography is beautiful.
I think it was above and beyond the positives that Tarantino usually does with his camera work. And I think that what was especially notable to me was that the moving camera shots felt meaningful. It wasn't just the camera moving. It was intentional, purposeful, and not just to create, the camera's moving, so there must be something over here. Like, everything felt purposeful. The one shot that sticks out to me for this point, right, is when Beatrix is underneath Bud's trailer, right?
Yeah.
The camera is panning down from the top, right? It's going in a slow enough pace that you can see things, but it's still kind of following Bud inside the trailer, left and right. There are sounds that are happening. If you have spatial sound, they're happening behind you, right? That, like, it very clearly tells you something is still outside of the trailer, but it's not just like, well, it's a straight shot down, so you know something's under the trailer. Like, it happened in a purposeful way, and I think that was notably better than any of the other movies we've seen so far.
Yeah, I definitely agree. As a matter of fact, I think, honestly, the best part, even though I think, like, the best part of, like, this movie is, like, basically when Beatrice goes to, like, kill Bud, and then all the way up to, like, the with it ending to, like, the fight between Beatrice and Elle. I think that part is, like, solid. Everything that I really have to complain is, like, before that and after that. But that whole segment, freaking great.
Similarly to that scene, I very much appreciate the creativity of the plot line. Not necessarily the plot line itself, but the creativity of the plot line. I wouldn't necessarily say that there are twists in this movie, but there are things that you wouldn't expect to happen in the fashion that they happened.
Oh yeah.
So the two parts that stick out are
the fact that Bud's the only one that fucking defeats Beatrice.
No, so Elle Driver kills Bud with a black mamba.
A black mamba.
We've all seen crime shows before. You know she's gonna kill him. It doesn't fucking matter. The idea that she does it with a snake with an attempt to pin it so that she can get away with telling Bill she has to kill her, right? Like, yeah.
Which, by the way, Bill's not that fucking stupid. She's gonna get fucking murdered if Beatrice would have survived.
Right. Like, again, it's not a twist. It's not anything unexpected, but the way they do it is unexpected, right? The idea that that like Elle Driver loses the fight to Beatrix because her other eye gets plucked out of her head, not the way that you expected it to happen.
Right.
It's not that you didn't think she was going to, like, you know Beatrix is going to complete the task, or why would they make the movie? But the way that it happens is unexpected.
Honestly, it kind of reminds me of, like, back to the Bond podcast at the end of Quantum of Solace, how, like, Bond just leaves the villain in the middle of the desert with a can of oil to drink.
Yeah. It's exactly, right?
As opposed to him actually, like, full-on fucking killing the person.
When Beatrix goes to finally kill Bill, he did it, he said the thing, you know that her daughter is still alive, like, they tease that at the end of the first movie. She obviously doesn't, so you know that it's going to be revealed to her, but the fact that it's Bill narrating a gunfight where, hey, this is your daughter, she just shot you, dumbass, right? Like, it's not unexpected that Beatrix is going to be surprised by her daughter still alive. It is surprising that she's introduced with getting shot by her daughter, right? Not like actually she has a play gun, whatever, right? But, like, the way in which things happen is unexpected. And I think it's kind of refreshing as a viewer experience. I don't know that it necessarily makes it better, but I think it adds some relief to a movie that might otherwise feel like it was taking itself too seriously. Like, I think they're good write-ins for the plot.
Yes. I also love, like, certain details of, like, even though it is a little corny on Bill's part because his name is Snake Charmer, and obviously he tries to bullshit his way out of, like, Beatrice trying to kill him. Like, easily just trying to charm her and get him on, like, his, get her on it, like, get him on her good side. But, like, Bud basically just sits and waits as if, like, kind of like a sidewinder that they, bury themselves in the sand and wait for prey to come over, then they strike. That's essentially what Bud did. He just sat in front of the door with a shotgun, just waiting for her. Mm-hmm. She opens up the door, boom, shoots her in the chest full of rock salt. L being the was a California mountain snake or something like that, which isn't even a fucking viper, nor is it venomous. It's, if I remember right, that's like a California king snake, and what king snakes basically do is they eat other snakes. So therefore, we see L pretty much, try to kill Beatrice. She kills Bud. She also, spoiler alert, kills Pai Mei. So she's basically killing all, like, these, assassins and, assassins / killers, or snakes, shall we say. So it seems that everybody's code name is, like, kind of perfect of how, like, how they go about their business of, like, fighting Beatrice or like assassinations in general. It's like, I love that detail, although I do think it's overtly heavy-handed with Bill's case, just because he doesn't shut the fuck up. I also love the fact that in Bud's case, there's a lot of stuff that is told but isn't told. Like, now we touched upon that Bud didn't sell his sword. He told Bill that he pawned his sword off, but obviously we find out later that he didn't. And I think the significance is to show what Bud's plan was all along, because in the dialogue while talking with Bill is that he basically says, which basically shows that Bud actually has the most remorse out of all of them over what happened at the church. He basically, he tells Bill, he goes, it's like, that woman deserves her revenge and we deserve to die. And then he also says, but then again, so does she, so let's see. And I'm under the belief that the reason why, you could take this at face value that he bears her under the ground and is just selling the sword for, like, money. Just to get money out of L. And then, only reason why he buries her underground is because Elle says she wants her to suffer, till her last breath. I think the real reason is that Bud's plan the entire time is that he's setting it up as if she gets out of that coffin, then we deserve to die. If she doesn't get out of the coffin, then she deserves to die. I'm leaving this up to fate. And
it's not a bad take, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I think it just kind of feels, it starts to feel a whole lot like, hey, when you have James Bond in handcuffs and incapacitated on the floor, you should probably just kill him instead of hovering him over a pit of snakes with lasers on their heads, right?
Right.
Like,
but no, there's hold on, I got things right to back up on that, but I get what you're saying. If you take it at face value, that's exactly what it is, but
it's just like, make your own decisions. Stop leaving this up to a person who is very clearly the protagonist in her own story.
Right.
If he wants her to live, let her live. If he wants her to die, let her fucking die. Like I don't understand why he just puts the control back in her hands if he was going to shoot her in the first place.
Well, here's the thing: is that obviously he feels like huge guilt about it, especially since like to hurt Bill, he says that he hawked the sword that he gave him, and not only does he tell him that he hawked the sword that Bill gave him, he also did it in El Paso. Guess what happened in El Paso? That church shooting. So therefore, like Bud, that's the reason why Bud's a bouncer in a titty bar. He literally has made he becomes an alcoholic piece of crap because he feels that he is unworthy to actually have a decent fucking life. Like, he is literally punishing himself for that.
I'll drink to that.
Because he, what?
I said I'll drink to that.
Yeah. Yeah, like, he honestly felt like Beatrice, for whatever reason, should have, like, been able to, like, run off and actually have her own life. However, he still went along with it because he is, after all, loyal to his brother, which is probably why, you know, that's exactly why he puts her in the coffin to begin with. You know, he's like, you know, this is for breaking my brother's heart. But at the same time, he gives her a flashlight. And on top of that, and this shows you how good the cinematography is, all right? When Bud is talking with Bill, he actually has some stubble, all right? When he finally gets to, like, the titty bar and is also, like, talking with, like, Beatrice, he's clean fucking shaven. And then when you see him again talking with Elle, he's got stubble again, like 5 o'clock shadow, like he, you know, wasn't able to shave in the morning. You know what is in Beatrice's boot?
A boot knife? Or his
No.
straight razor? No,
straight
you're right.
razor. I have a feeling I'm under the theory that he planted that in there. It's like, all right. It's like, I know you're trained by Pai Mei. You can punch your way out of here. I'm giving you everything that you can do to get out. It's up to you to see if you can get out. If you can get out, you deserve to not only kill me, but also kill Elle. And the reason why he actually says that he's selling Beatrice's sword is to get Elle down to the trailer, so that way if Beatrice is able to get out, they can face each other. Because if every time we've seen Elle's modus operandi, she doesn't fight anybody, you know, one-on-one up front. Like, she actually does with Beatrice in the Bud's trailer, but that's because she has to. But, like, the first time she tries, you know, killing Beatrice while she's in a coma, she poisons Pai Mei. She plants a fucking snake in, like, the money where Bud's counting it, you know, gloating, like, you know, laughing like how this whole plan that he has comes together. Of course, he underestimated Elle for, like, planning shit and thing. But you can see little details like that it's, you know, show but don't tell, that I love.
It feels like a liberty that I can't jump to, but I also can't tell you you're wrong, and that bothers the shit out of me.
Right.
God damn it, Stallman. I thought I had this thing fucking ranked.
I know. And it only
motherfucker.
happens with Bud. And it happens a little bit with Oren, with, like, a couple of, like, you know, how they kind of, like, are a little bit kind of friendly with each other and stuff. But, like, and it also does it help that when Bud is burying, like, Beatrice, Michael Madsen kind of has, like, the look like he's about ready to cry the entire time. And it's like, just little shit like that I notice. And to me, it's just like, you know, it's like, you can do that and flesh out Bud that way, but you literally had to have Bill have that huge fucking diatribe.
I'm so fucking mad at you right now, Stallman. Let's get into rankings. What are you fucking doing with this?
I'm putting this right above Volume 1. I think this is a better movie than Volume 1.
I wish I could keep two things even. I think I'm not changing my mind from where I had talked myself into. My issue is that I know it either belongs immediately above or immediately below Kill Bill 1.
Right.
My gut reaction says that I should put this on top of 1 and make it my 4th ranked movie instead of my 5th ranked movie. And I should do that because this movie has the actual substance of the plot.
Right.
But I also want to put it below because this plot is really fucking stupid if you didn't watch the first movie, which makes it dependent on number 1, which makes number 1 a better movie. I wish I could just leave the Kill Bill series as equals. I think I'm with you, though. I think I'm going to put it at 4th, right above Kill Bill 1.
It's just
this movie has the substance. I think it was better shot. I think it was easier to follow along. I obviously
and it
have
also
my
doesn't.
gripes,
I mean, some parts feel like a waste of time, but like, not saying that I didn't enjoy Volume. I mean, fuck, I had it higher than you did for sure. Even though I objectively think it's, Tarantino's weakest film that we've seen, thus far. But like, as you were saying, it's like with Volume 1 just being a glorified, prequel.
I mean,
that should have been like a film short. Volume 2 feels like it has more purpose after watching it than Volume 1.
Yeah.
Because to me, Volume 1 seems more like a trailer for Volume 2.
Kinda. I don't know. They're two very different experiences. Like I think you're right
like
that
them
it
both,
is.
But
it's so hard to rank them too while they're standalones. Like genuinely, I may flip again next week. I'm leaving the door open for myself that I'm giving myself till next week to flip them again. But it's so hard to weigh that. Like you can't weigh the first one without considering the second one. Like if somebody had fucking died or they cut funding or what the fuck ever, that 2 never got made, 1's a shitty movie. If 1 didn't get made and they decided they told Tarantino you have to make this one fucking movie and all you get is Volume 2, I think it's objectively worse. It's so hard to put these 2 as individual movies, especially because they get watched back to back, and that frustrates the shit out of me.
Yeah, like you can't have one without the other. Like it's
stupid is what it fucking is. But yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I'm going to leave it above Volume 1, but I'm giving myself till next week to flip them again when I've thought about it more. I'm so pissed that you just dropped that fucking but what if conspiracy theory on me, you fucking Reddit page.
The thing is that I'm not even a conspiracy theorist. It's just this fucking movie.
Fuck,
or
dude.
like certain Tarantino things.
It upsets the fuck out of me. Anyway, I think that wraps us up for this one. So thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you being here. Stallman, what the fuck are we watching next week?
Death Proof.
Okay, we're watching Death Proof next week. So be sure to check us out again for that one. If you're interested in watching movies with us, we watch them in the Discord every week on Mondays, so you can be sure to pop your head in there. Discord's also a really great place to hang out, join the Cringe Crew, find some people to play some games with, see all kinds of different content. Also get access to our own individual content, like both of us streaming. Stallman at Traductus, myself at Ted Green Eagles, both of us on Twitch. I guess that'll wrap us up for this one, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week. Adios.
See ya.